Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom, the walking, talking encyclopedia of Yoga Parinama, the result of integrated yoga. Let's talk about the science of physiology or psychophysiology of yoga, what Patanjali Yogasutras talks about it. It starts with an expression that let's start the yoga exposition. And main thing which Patanjali talks about, Yog Chitta Vritti Nirodh. Stop the fluctuation of the mind and you are into yoga. And then the seer is established in its own nature, that means its own antaratma, true nature. In other form, there are fluctuating minds which result to different kinds of problems, defects, kleshas, and they normally pain 5 different things. We are not getting into details of psychosomatic disorders. Let's stick only to the perfect psychophysiology which can make us be in tune with our soul consciousness. Now, Patanjali talks about union of control of the mind alone. But I do believe only after control of the mind we can get yourself to the true self of our own self, which is Antaratma, which is Kundalini, with which there is a union of Kundalini with 100 trillion cells, and that is what Akhand Yoga is all about. But as far as Patanjali Yoga is concerned, is divided into 4 components: Samadhi Pada, Sadhana Pada, Vibhuti Pada, and Kaivalya Pada. These are the 4 things which I am not getting into detail. It's a huge book written 3000 years ago. We will not going to stick to that. That will be very elaborate. Maybe over a period we will do it. But coming to the question, we'll talk about Ashtanga Yoga, 8 stages of Patanjali Yoga Sutra, which talks about it, and that is important. The first concept is Yam, which is external 5 sheaths of Kundalini on one side. We talk about it, but at the same time, these are the virtues which are important for me to talk about it. Let's move on with the virtues. The first stage of Yama is Satya, it means truth, and is the first and highest virtue beyond duality and associated with the highest centers, the Sahasrara Chakra. Ahimsa, it means non-violence, associated with the physical body, the emotional body, the verbal, mental, curse and psychic. Ahimsa at every level, not only physical, mental, abusive, curse, everything is defective. Truth to the core, ahimsa to the core are the 2 foundations which I believe can make you a perfect human being. Only then you can be in tune with your inner consciousness. Even one asatya and one ahimsa thought will come in the way of you being in tune with your antaratma Kundalini itself. Then third thing which is very important for everybody to understand, asatya. It means honesty, non-stealing, non-misappropriation, non-covetousness and other aspects of possessiveness. We should be focused only on the need, not greed. That is the contentment which is talking about. You should be satisfied, very honest. We should not take anything from somebody which is not ours. We should focus only on something which we work for, which we earn for. Through Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, we should get things, not for free. Reservations or stealing or otherwise is none the way a problem for being in tune with your own soul consciousness. Then Brahmacharya, I would like to, it is not the celibacy as such, it is associated with Swadhisthana Chakra, reproduction, testosterone, estrogen and other things. And in my opinion, Brahmacharya means great character, person who understands things clearly. Getting married in a dharmic way, staying within the family, taking care of wife, taking care of children, taking care of your parents, taking care of from there, move on to make the whole world as a part of family is true Brahmacharya. Then Kant Apigraha, it means non-acquisitiveness. We are all custodians of the wealth of the property. And that is what I talk about it. Hitopadesh, Vidya Dadati Vinyam, Vinyat Yati Patratam, Patratancha Dhan Utpati, Cha Dharma Cha Sukha. If you want the world to be perfectly fine, we should have the wisdom of impeccable wisdom and the wealth, prosperity, and use it for the good of everybody depending upon their action, thoughts and processes. No reservation, nothing given more than what person deserves. We should acquire but distribute and work in such a way that everybody, depending upon their skills, is able to work together to become one part of the universal consciousness. Nothing free. Yatrai tatra gashti. As it comes, it goes the same thing. You got to make people equipped with the kind of knowledge which they are good at it, and then make them work one by one to the higher levels. And even everybody is not born as a Brahman. We learn to go through the different stages. Once we are academically excellent in every way, that's the only time we become Brahman. So, in Indian terms, Shudra to businessman, to administration, to academician is the role which everybody should play. These are the 5 virtues we should have it, come what may. And then, as I told you, the truthful is an excellent, and person who is in universal consciousness has to be truthful and never fail in life. That is Mahanarayani Upanishad says. Mundaka Upanishad says, Satyamev Jayate, truth always wins. And my life is example. Ever since my childhood I have been truthful. I know people don't like it, but it is their problem, not my problem. Because I have been truthful, all being very forthright and saying this is not right, this is not right, this is not right. I think I have come to DIVYANK level, Akhandata level only because of truth. And Satchit Anand is also possible when you are only being truthful in core from A to Z. There is not even the single element of untruth in all your approach. That's it. Sat Vijnanam Anantam. Truthful and scientific knowledge leads to infinity, and that is my life is. If you are truthful, you are scientific, only then you know infinity. If I am talking of DIVYANK for the first time, the history of mankind, which has never been done till date, it is only because truthfully and honestly, in a scientific, philosophy, mathematical, other thing, I have learned how to go from zero to infinity, step by step in the last 70 years, and come to the stage that this is DIVYANK, this is Akhandata. That is the relationship with Satya. Satya Shivam Sundaram. A genuine truthful person is always good looking person. And I do mean, if you are truly honest, truthful, perfect to the core, you will be a really brilliant person. Everybody will look at you with a different aura. And that is what it means. Om Tat Sat. And I also come to realize the one mantra which is the most important, precise, concise to the point is Om, where A chanting is associated with Muladhara chakra, U is associated with Anahata chakra, chest, and Ma with the head, higher chakras, and then Turiya to the universal consciousness. As a result, you can be omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, and all-pervasive universal consciousness. Nirankar, Nirgun, Brahman, Sakar, Satgun, Brahman, you can understand completely, provided your base is only on Satya. And this is what Upanishads are talking about, this is what Veds are talking about, and this is what science is talking about. The search of science is only to find that ultimate truth. Let's give science the credit. That's the approach. And that is also the approach of spirituality. When spirituality and science put together as a spiritual scientist, then the first thing which comes to my mind is Satya, Satya and Satya. Second thing which comes to my mind is very clear, Ahimsa. Ahimsa can manifest at the following level. Physical level, physical violence of all the nature is completely condemnable. Then emotional violence of also is condemned because it's again plays with the emotions, and we have no right to play with the emotions anybody. If person is not able to accept truth, it is their problem. We should be totally say this is what we feel and leave it at that. And psychic violence, lower tantrics and black magicians are equally condemning doing something which should not be done. Verbal violence, abusing people, intentional abuses, unfounded criticism is also not required. And I make it very clear. I have learned from everything, everybody is good. But I have nothing to say about anybody, it is their problem, not my problem. Everybody is doing according to their intention, leave it at that. But since I am a spiritual trend, let's talk of the DIVYANK and the highest, leave it at that. I am not condemning anybody at any stage, but I make it clear the kind of knowledge which the world has got is full of criticism. That is my focus. Since I can't expect others to do, I am doing that in my own way, leaving behind in my books, research as well as videos. Then mental violence is equally bad. Cursing people is not at all permissible, come what may. Criticism of people, blaming everyone for their failure of life is also something which I do not believe in. So ahimsa has to be in totality, physical to the spiritual. At no stage we should do something against anybody. We should believe that we are here as a Lokpalan, custodian guardians for good of the entire thing. And that can be done only with Satya and Ahimsa. That is through most important aspects. And people who follow that, no one in the world will be able to touch because they have very strong aura. Anyone raises a hand, the hand will stop. And that is what I have experienced in all the 73 years of my life. Nobody is able to touch me because the hands cannot move up to me. Then come to the non-covetousness. We have come nothing, we go with nothing. Whatever is there on the earth belongs to Mother Earth. So let's be very clear. Property which comes to us by nature, fine. But grabbing somebody's property is not our purposes. Even Robin Hood is not. Stealing from rich and giving to the poor people is equally defective. And these reservations and giving free to people who don't work is also something which is not acceptable to me. Affection also, showing affection of people in need is acceptable. Showing affection of people hurting others is highly defective. So dharma is more important. Then plagiarism means to take someone's ideas, words and research is pretty bad, and putting it in your own name is also something is stealing. And I'm glad we have come to stage to condemn it by and large. Then research and review also should be based and honest from the beginning of the research, not in the last 5-10 years. Once we are complete that how the first idea of research started, from there step by step and learn, so that we don't make the same mistake which other researchers have made. Then you will have a better platform for research to go on. And this is what I talk it, asteya or non-covetousness. It's very, very important if we want to move on to higher levels. Then, as I told you, brahmacharya is something which I do know. Sexuality is a part of our pitra dharma. We are here because of our parents. It is our duty to get married, produce healthy children, academically excellent, and asset to the world is required, for which getting married is absolutely essential. And without that you can't become a brahmachari. Brahmachari means a great character who knows the art of transformation of ojas into tejas, uses for intelligence to go to the stage of DIVYANK, which I have done. I have tremendous amount of ojas, testosterone. I have converted into estrogen, tejas, and move on tapasya to give the world DIVYANK. And my asset is brahmacharya, and I mean brahmacharya means great character who is in tune with universal consciousness. Let's not make it just a plain celibacy. And that's it. Apigraha, non-acquisitiveness, means acquiring wealth is, you cannot do anything with wealth alone. But wealth is absolutely essential. Without that you can't do anything. So we should earn money, dharma. That is what Ayurveda talks about. Dharma, earth, kam, moksha. If our work is based only on dharma, on our own work with the strength, and then arthik nitis, our acquiring money is also based on that, and all the money desired to spend is also on dharma, we will get moksha. So this concept of dharma, earth, kam, moksha is in apigraha. So materialism is important, austerity is important, vairagya is important, tyaga is important, apigraha is also important, and total detachment from material wealth is required. Mean you have, but you should not think you are going to take it. You have come with nothing, you live with nothing, you will go with nothing. But at the same time, You got to work so that you monetary acquirement is done. Giving by bhikshu, get and forget is not my cup of tea. Give and forgive like Clark Surya should be the epigraph which with this the five virtues which I am talking about is absolutely essential for yoga. Yoga is not possible without these five virtues, and I'm again and again make it clear. If we have to move on to higher consciousness, it has to be based on these five virtues. Whether we like it or don't like it, Atma will never appear to you if you don't have these five virtues by and large. Now let's move on to the next stage. Is niyam is the internalization. That was externalization as yam. Now internalization, how to bring it within that is I'm talking about the second stage of niyam is based on soch, purity inside, santosh, contentment, tapa, swadhyay and ishwar pranidhana. These are the five stages which are absolutely essential part of niyams. Now let's try to understand them. Socha means you have to purify outside as well as purify inside. Now I am a Brahmin by birth, so from my childhood, having bath every day, at least once if not twice, keeping my house clean, keeping my clothes clean, keeping everything clean, keeping my puja room clean was essential part. And that has it's actually made me perfectly healthy by and large. So physical health is important. Skin, teeth, everything should be perfect. Internal cleaning of bowel movement, micturition, antardhauti, etc. I've learnt all that I'm purified outside and purified outside, and that is what Sauch is all about. And everybody has to make sure that you are purified completely. Shuddham to the complete. That is important. Then santosh or contentment is another thing which is important, that everybody gets what he or she works for and deserves. Nothing less, nothing more. And sense of contents for every spiritual soul. We should earn, deserve it, not grab and do things. That is what my point is. If you want to be a yogi, you want to go to Akhand Yoga, you want to go to Divyank, you want to go to Akhandata, then you got to deserve it. And what comes to in the process, value it. That is santosh, that is value which is very important for us to move on to the higher levels of consciousness. We should not expect anything even from parents. And let me tell you, knowingly or unknowingly, I was getting scholarships from my childhood. All my academic things were well taken care with that. I did not have to expect. But once you are working from that, you take pride in actions. I can tell you this is. But I never stretched my parents to even spend one paisa which was not at all required. And that is the contentment which is required for everyone. If I have reached because I have followed that since my childhood. Then come to the question of tapa. When I think of tapa, it means heat. When you do tapasya, it should produce more heat, and this is what I see Neelkant. And this is what I say iodine plays important in thyroid, and thyroid gland can produce heat. And that is what tapasya is. That is heat is what is important. And I have already spoken in detail about iodine's role to produce heat in the mitochondria from triglyceride and breakdown of protein products for better heat to be protected, because only when you are warm, another thing, blood circulation is better, you are in integrated approach. That is a niyam which I am talking about. Now swadhyay, self-study is absolutely essential. And for that, what is your ishteta, what is your insight? And I can tell you, Rigved talks of atoms, element, molecules, compounds, and all the gods and goddesses. There are 33 crore concepts, by and large, in my opinion, are all within each human being. Brahma is within us, Vishnu is within me, Lord Shiva is within me, Saraswati is within me, Lakshmi is within me, Parvati is within me Durga, with all the gods and goddesses are everyone in that. That's what said, Brahmand and Pindand is Ekam. Once you understand that we represent their universal consciousness, entire universal consciousness within us, only then you can be. And that is what Swadhyay is, self-study, one and large. Once we are that, we understand how human beings are made from atom, element, molecules, compounds, cells, tissues, organ, 10 organ system, and perfect human being. Once you understand that complete structure, perfect anatomy, perfect physiology, perfect biochemistry, perfect psychology, only then you can be in tune with universal consciousness. If you have bad habits of taking things which are unnatural, we human beings are pure vegetarian, not carnivorous, not herbivorous. We should take frugal, fructivorous based, grand foods, fresh and thing, well taken, then you are perfect with universal consciousness. Everything will be well taken care of. That is what I am talking about. Now come to the question of Ishwar Pranidhana. Most of the people have the surrender. There is nothing, no God, nothing that. I have not nothing to say about them. It is their personal choice. But I do believe if I come to DIVYANK, come to Akhand Yoga, this particular picture will see I am able to produce 8 Hz predominant and coherent alpha frequency throughout the brain with eyes open, which is done for the first time in the history of mankind. DIVYANK is for the first time, Akhandata is for the first time, and this is also first time. As a result, I challenge the entire neuroscientists. You don't even know functions of the brain, so deficient. And you cannot, your description of brain function is also defective. So I am laying foundation. If you are truthful in that, you can be in tune with universe, and as a result, you can be in tune with Akash Kosh itself. So that is mean, if you believe there is force which has made us, we have not made ourselves. We are the perfect representation with DIVYANK ratio, DIVYANK sequence. So perfect, and that is what I am talking about for the first time in the history of mankind since 2015. It was never done before that. This is also a fact. I am not a copy of somebody else. This is original work, and I say very clearly, it is because my faith, the divinity has produced beautiful artwork, fantastic the core, perfect mathematical. That faith of mine, looking up to God, be my guru, give me the knowledge, and God has given to you, and that is what Ishwar Pranidhana is. I am fully standard. I am only an instrument. But I am instrument because God is revealing everything to me because I believe in that. When you don't believe, you can never get anything. That is another beauty which I am talking about in this particular concept. Then come to the third stage. Yam, Niyam are absolutely essential to build a grand foundation by and large. Now I would like to talk about one of the Upanishads, which I will not talk about. It says, the ritualism of Veds is inferior. And I say, without preparatory foundation of ritualism, discipline, truth and otherwise, foundation of yoga cannot take place. You cannot underwrite Rigved completely, or Yajurved, or Samved, Atharvaved, or Upanishads. That knowledge of do's and don'ts, which is in Yam and Niyam, is absolutely essential. So Yam and Niyam is from Ved and Upanishads. Let's accept for that. And without that knowledge, foundation of yoga and be in tune with universe consciousness is not at all possible. Now come to the third stage, which is equally important, called Yogasanas. Yogasanas mean excellent exercises of yoga. That's one part. Now, Yogasana, that different things have to be done in such a way that every organ of the body is flexible. It will make us steady, healthy, supple, flexible, and sensible and experience of divine energy. Only if the body is moving properly, there is no restriction at all, there is no deficiency, everything is warm, blood pressure is normal, blood sugar level is normal, all the joints are normal. I can tell you, I am 73 plus, but I have the flexibility of a 21 years young man. And it is only because I have believed that Yogasana in different form, I am not necessarily talking about Hatha Yoga. We should be flexible, comfortable, in a position to be steady so that mind is at rest, physical body is at rest, everything is at rest. And that is what Yogasanas mean. You can use any format, but make sure every cell is perfect, every joint is perfect, every muscle is perfect, everything is important. That is important as far as Yogasanas are concerned. Then comes to the question of Yogasana. Proper understanding of human anatomy is required. you should have a location which is very clear now. And I would say if you have lucky to be a place which is close to banyan tree or people tree, which produces oxygen 24/7, is important. Then morning oxygen is high. Then clean, take care, put clothes and be comfortable, and then do yogasana systematically. You will have a much better thing, and make a routine that you completely ball clean boots and then do exercise one by one. You'll have no problem whatsoever, and that is what I'm talking about in yogasanas, which are absolutely essential for everybody. Then come to the question of precautions. Before starting physical exercise or posture, it's better that each person goes through the routine medical checkup to rule out any physical disease which could become worse after exercise. So for me, exercise is stretching within physiological limits. Anything which disturbs it is not exercise at all. So that's my advice. You should work within your physiological normals. And I can assure you, even if you have a deficiency, over a period you will be able to stretch yourself, provided it is done systematically, step by step. Then Surya Namaskara 10 points is one of the most compact exercise. I'm not going to detail, which everybody can see. This information is available. Then Vajrasana is absolutely essential, and this particular position is the state you sit in, and particularly after food is fantastic. Then Sirsasana is again something where all the blood from the legs comes down to the heart, and circulation is much better, because normally with the gravity blood flows to the legs, but circulating up and down and making cleansing whole thing is absolutely essential as far as Sirsasana is concerned. Now, having finished the exercise, now you will go to pranayama, or the breathing exercise of yoga. Is very, very important. And here I've been very honest, with the right breathing we can do. And my understanding is animals which breathe slowly, right breathing, will better than the one which are erratic, fast and otherwise. And this is what it is all about. And now I'm going to talk about it. What breathing is absolutely designed with DIVYANK only. Inspiration lasts for 38.196%, and expiration lasts for 61.8034%, and this process goes on naturally as long as you have no problem whatsoever in breathing. That is something which I want everybody to understand. Now, as I told you, inspiration, expiration in every level is based on DIVYANK only. You can read this in detail later. That's it. Now there are different kinds of exercise we got to learn. Something to start with is always the sectional breathing exercises, where you learn to do abdominal breathing, thoracic breathing, clavicular breathing, and total yogic breathing one by one, to learn to vibrate every aspect of the human body. Abdominal will be with A, thoracic with U, clavicle with M, and total will be Om. That's it. If with a mantra, yantra, tantra, if you can do it, it's fantastic, one by one. Then comes a question of balance, and I'm making it very clear. Normal breathing cycle lasts for 90 minutes. We start from the left side to go to the other side in 45 minutes, from right side to come to the third in another 45 minutes. In between you go to the balance. We normally breathe from one, then breathe from other side. In between both are equal, and that is what Ida, Pingala and Sushma Nadis are all about. And you should breathe out entire thing completely and breathe in fully, so that there is expansion. And once you have expansion, your respiratory process would be as perfect as you can. And I have shown over and over, for my age, I am much better than what is expected, because I do pranayama regularly every day without fail, and I do it very comprehensively. Then Bhastrika is something which is absolutely essential. It helps purification of abdomen and lower chakra. That means you are literally moving the muscles of the stomach or abdomen much more frequently with a focus on the lower side, and that is Vastrika. It will cleanse the whole system very well. I'm not going to detail, otherwise it become very long process. But Vastrika is very, very important. Then Kapalbhati is concentration on the head. Kapala means head. It's cleaning the head. One is the lower abdomen, this is upper head. And in this, you have to have skills in which you breathe through the nose, cleanse it, and don't throw it out. And that is a beautiful exercise. Maybe at a later date I would demonstrate, which I normally don't do it in person. But once you close the eyes, breathe through the nose and inhale completely, and combination of Vastrika and Kapalabhati put together can make a real transformation. All the sluggish things will move out. Your lungs will function even at the age of 70, 80, 90, 100 as good as when you are 21 years. That should be the objective, and and that is what I keep telling anybody. Please do not smoke, do not be in a polluted climate. You need a purity every day, and you can make sure your nose is normal, throat is normal, lungs are normal. You will never suffer from any problem. And the person who is breathing slowly and steadily, deeply, would live longer, much more healthier. That's also something which I keep telling. Body, mind and breath, there are three combinations, and all the three should be perfect. Your mind be at rest, your breathing will be at rest, your physical health will be perfect. That combination has to be kept in mind. Then come to the Shitala, and once your heat is too much, you got to reduce it by taking breath slowly. In this, I'm not showing it, we will do it later. Then Surya Vedana is also, sit in Padmasana, close both eyes and left nostril, slowly inhale through the right nostril and move on. So that combination is required to make breathing little more effectively. Then Ujjayi is also something which I do not want to describe here. It is there. Read it up in Padmasana, how to do it. It can make a real difference. Now, having talked about four concepts very clearly, now we have come to very important concept of internalization. Earlier were all externalization. Yam, Niyam, Yogasana, Pranayam is external world completely. We are Bharang. Now you are coming to the transition for Bharang to Antarang. The difference comes in Pratihara. That means you have the senses which are to the world, and you got to withdraw. And many people say close your eyes, ears and there. That is not. Keep your eyes open, keep everything open, but still withdraw the senses from that. You are seeing from the Atma, not from eyes. That is what withdrawal of senses of Pratyahara is all about. Now, in that particular process, you can say you will be able to understand functions of the lungs, heart completely normal, because you are no more focused on outside. Outside focus will always make you disturbed, get into sympathetic overactivity. But when you internalize, your cranial parasympathetic become, and in this particular process you come to the vagus tone completely. That will reduce your heart rate, reduce your blood pressure, reduce your respiration, make you perfectly healthy. And that is what I meant Pratihara. Once you withdraw the mind, it's no more disturbed. Sympathetic is brought to the cranial parasympathetic, particularly vagus, is absolutely essential for someone to move on to higher levels of consciousness, because it is a parasympathetic system which is there for rest, digest and conserve energy. You got to conserve energy and use it only when it is required. You should not get into sympathetic activity come what may. It is disastrous. It can lead to Kundalini syndrome and many other psychosomatic problems, and that is what Patanjali is talking about. No sympathetic activity at all. Get into parasympathetic activity, particularly vagus predominant, so that all the physiological organs are working effectively. Then come to the balance of cardiovascular system is also will be much better with vagus tone. Your heart rate is normal, blood pressure is normal, respiration normal, every systolic blood pressure, everything is based only on DIVYANK and DIVYANK only. Once you come to that, you will be better off. Then come to the stage, pratyahara, as I told you, is the limiting the senses of the mind by withdrawing from the external world and remain within that. From sympathetic to parasympathetic, particular vagus is what pratyahara is all about. Once that is understood, you have learnt how to control sympathetic system, fluctuating nature, which is responsible for all stress, strain, and all the problems. Kleshas are connected only with sympathetic system. And Kundalini syndrome is also sympathetic system. And Ida Pingala is also with Sushma system. You should not focus on that. You should focus more on Sushmana Nadi, or within that Nadi internalization. That is the Pratyahara. Now next to the question of Dharana is the sixth stage, which is actually the shielding of the inner kind. But here is the one misconception which I want to bring it for the mind of the people. A misconception is most authors, and I am making very clearly, what I have studied about dharana, they say it is a concentration for a short time. That's what they have been going on saying. And dhyana is a concentration for a long time. Then I, as a scientist, felt this is such a beautiful book, Patanjali Yogasutras, great scientist, done 3000 years ago, would not need 2 stages for talk about concentration. That is one thing which struck me. So dharana cannot be and dhyana cannot be the way it is talked about it. So that's the reason I looked into original Patanjali Yogasutras in Sanskrit to find the real meaning of it. And real meaning was it is creating a shield around the inner mind, not that way. And that is, you're going to see in this particular form, okay, that mind which has a territory, create a shield around the territory of the mind is what dharana is all about. And nothing less than that you have concentrated on the external world, yam, niyam, yogasana, pranayam, you have increased the energy level, heat, then you are withdrawing from that, and then you create the without energy mind, you create a shield so that it does not go outside. That is what dharana is all about. Having understood that external aspect should be avoided, your eyes should be open, ears should be open, not closed. With that, you should be in a position to control it. That is important. Then come to the dhyana. You should be able to take one subject and object and concentrate on that and look at every aspect minutely. Tark vitark, come neti neti to come, absolute wisdom which is impeccable. That process should be done through dhyana only. And once that is done, you are true scientific. That is symbol which I have used is Vigyan. That is gives you the scientific knowledge, oneness. That is dhyana. And as I told you, when energy is inside, we can concentrate one subject and learn to do A to Z fully. You literally become a Jnani, Vijnani, Pragyani by and large with dhyana alone. And dhyana as well, mind remains within the mind. Mind can be used to concentrate, contemplate fully only inside, and the reward will be impeccable wisdom. And that is a concentration of one pinpointed. That was also part of my research. I had 3 processes: dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. In dharana, I had no concentration at all. In dhyana, I put a concentration in Mooladhara chakra. That was the focus. But in samadhi, I put it on top of the head to with the universal consciousness. As a result, results were phenomenal. And that was done with eyes closed and eyes open. So I always believe, if you can do better things with eyes open, that means you have control over the senses, control over the mind, control over emotional things. And that is a true yoga form. And that is what I have been able to do, something which has never been done, because I have practiced the way it should have been practiced from the day one, step by step, by everyone in full concentration, contemplation and coherence. Now they come to the question of samadhi. And samadhi, I make it very clear, this is 8th step of Patanjali Yogasutras, and I make it samadhi. Mean you have come to the eternal state of mind. Your mind is not at all fluctuating anymore. You have controlled all the fluctuation. You come to the even state of the mind. And that way you are in tune with universal consciousness. In this picture I have used is the Sahasrara chakra, which also is Divyank's inner parts. Once you come to that mean, you are control the mind completely. You are aware of the power of the mind. You use the power to your understanding to take it from A to Z, contemplate and everything, and come to Divyank by and large in Samadhi state itself. And that is what Patanjali is talking about. If you can control the fluctuations of mind, your mind is rest, and then only you can be in tune with your Antaratma. Your true self will appear only after that. He doesn't go beyond to that. He only brings it to that stage. So that way Patanjali Yogasutras, these particular stages of Ashtanga Yoga, is only to control the mind, and that means you control the sympathetic system, come to cranial parasympathetic system, and be in tune with universal consciousness, Akash Kosh. And that should be understood completely. Once that is done, you are truly a yogi, because you have stopped the fluctuation of the mind. And person who can control the mind, control the breath, control the body is truly genuinely healthy. He is physically healthy, emotionally stable, mentally powerful, very intelligent, very buddhishali, be in tune with universal consciousness, with Ashtanga Yoga itself. And that's what I make it very clear. This is a very important exercise for me right up to my PhD work. And up to PhD work is only Ashtanga Yoga and concept only on that. But what did I learn about that is something which we'll try to understand as I move on with this particular video. Now, as far as Samadhi is concerned, this particular shloka is very clear. And then you come to Swarupe Shunyam Vi Samadhi hai. That means pure awareness of the essence of the mind. You know the mind is there. That's something which I want everybody to understand. All psychiatrists are killing the mind. Mind is a powerful thing. Don't kill it. Be aware of it, understand the essence of it, because that's the only way you can be intelligent. So giving psychiatry is just another thing. And this sympathetic overactivity, kill. But make them understand that sympathetic overactivity is giving the problem. Make them understand. But when you don't understand, they are talking the truth and you have. That's one same thing which I want the world to understand is, truth is truth, which will never change. And these people, some schizophrenia, split personality, many of the psychosomatic disorders are truly honest, good people. They are telling the truth, but they are telling the truth in a way which the world does not know. But difference between them suffering and me is, I understand the truth, they also understand, but they do not know how to do it. Whereas I am able to, okay, these people don't understand, let's forget about it. So I don't get into argument with people. But I have to use the knowledge to improve my own life. Maybe because I've used the mind to understand comprehension of the knowledge. Maybe that is one reason why I have an extremely exemplary academic record from school, college to the university. Maybe because I've done that all my 60 odd years. I've come to DIVYANK easily, step by realizing the power of the mind and use it to go to impeccable wisdom. And important is that by giving them drugs and things, you are killing them, making the vegetable, is something which I do not agree with. I am very clear. After cognition, realization of the subject and object of meditation, contemplation, everything, then you should go beyond the mind and be in tune with pure self. That's what I'm talking about. That only you can be with the indwelling soul called Kundalini, Antaratma, Prana, whatever you call it. Only a perfect human being can experience, study, cognize, understand, comprehend, and self-realization. Every aspect of the subject and object of the compared world is actually leads to Samadhi. This is essence, this is Saranch, which I want everybody to understand. Once you come to Samadhi stage, only then your journey actually starts. Let me make it very clear. Without 8 stages of journey, your spiritual journey does not start at all. You are like an ordinary human being who is involved in the mind, possessiveness, this thing, that thing, and trying to control things. You don't let anybody understand what it is, and you try to force your ideas. And this is the root cause of the world problem. That is into politics, that is into law, that is into everything. And these people claim themselves to be perfect, but actually we are as defective as anybody else. That is the reason why I have learned to keep myself distant from all the people who are fighting. And I found that I am single who's thinking of universal consciousness, true, genuine Vasudhaiva Kutumbam. Maybe that's the reason I keep it low profile. Let my subject matter speak for itself without me coming to the picture, because I do know it's a divine in consciousness, and I don't want to be seen and known by anybody by and large. What the world has to give it to me? Do I need the money from them? Do I need the name from them? Do I need the fame from them? No. Divinity is given thousands, much more than a man can ever expect, because I have faith in God and God gives it to me. But this is something which world is not prepared to accept, because they think everybody is imperfect. Perfection itself is out of conception for the common people by and large. And I've been saying from that, I am the perfect one, we are all perfect, we can bring the perfect knowledge out. With that faith from childhood, I have come to the stage to DIVYANK and Akhandata, and that is because I have been focused on Samadhi ever since my childhood. Make use of the power of the mind and conscientiousness and common thing to understand the perfect knowledge the world should know. Result is my excellent academic record in my school level, my college level, my PhD level, and even today DIVYANK and all things are the highest one which nobody can find fault. And that is what my objective is. If we are pure from everything A to Z, only we can talk of Akhandata, Akhandata and Akhandata. That is what comes with Samadhi. But now let's go to little science part to understand its functions and results. Now, as I told you, mind consciousness are steady. You experience Satchitanand, there is equanimity, and you are into Sahasrara Chakra. But at the same time, your ascension from Mooladhara to Sahasrara on the backside and coming from up down is totally as one body. As a result, you have a very fantastic aura around you. And that aura, as I have told you in my own self, it was like Shunya, zero, and that's why I understood the entire mathematical design starts from zero. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 came from zero. But it's very unfortunate, 1 to 9 was known to the West, but they did not know zero. And that zero came later for them from India, and they said Aryabhata invented it, or Brahmagupta invented it. But I have been saying from the day one, zero was known to the Indians from Shunya, even as thing created. Rig Veda talks about in 10th as in Asadi operation itself. It all started from Andhakar, Tamas. And then Yajnavalkya has spoken about as a Mrityu. He has also spoken about Urya as Purnamidam, Purnamadam, Purnavishishte. Only zero can be taken out of zero and zero will remain. That concept was so clear in that. So makes me clear it is zero from which we started and other things have come. We are going to make now things clearer. Indians knew it from the day one itself. But they never felt the need to spread to the world and they left it like that. Other world was trying to figure it out. Even the science of the West, which is now international, is only a search for perfection. They haven't reached the perfection at all. That's the result. I am able to challenge all the Nobel laureates and the best. Even you are defective. Einstein gets a Nobel Prize 100 years and 3 people prove him wrong. But that is what the science is. They are evolutionary. They have not come to the truth which DIVYANK is able to do it. And that is what Akhandata is all about. This concept is now with DIVYANK and the other thing. We are going to do the research again, fresh. We'll have 1,000 times better knowledge. And that is what my objective of this particular video, all my videos for that matter. Now, there is one concept in Samadhi which stands out very, very clearly. It's called Samyam, integrated conscious state. All the three put together will make you perfect human being. Again, one has to become three. That is Samyam, all put together. What is the Samyam? What is the three things we should have in Samadhi completely within ourselves so that we are complete? What is Patanjali talking about it? And I'm very sorry to say, people who call them experts in Patanjali Yogasutras, they haven't been able to do. In this particular picture, I've used the symbol of Pragyan, at the one of the highest order. Gyan is philosophical. Vigyan is the scientific. This is absolute wisdom. And Sapsara, of course, is DIVYANK. So how I have moved one from 7 chakras to 10.344 is a research by itself. We'll talk about it separately, not at this time. But Samyam is something which I want everybody to understand. Once you understand Samyam, only then you can understand Samadhi, which is even state of the mind. You have learned to use the mind to go beyond to your own self. Let's go to that stage. Let's not talk of the self, Kundalini in this particular thing. But it can prepare you. Then the real journey of spiritual science would start only after understanding Samyam of Samadhi. Now Samyam means Trem, Ekatrata, Samyam. That means Dharana, Dhyan and Samadhi, which I three talked about it. All the three put together should work as one union. And that is it. Yam and Niyam are the external. Yogasana, Pranayam, external. Pratyahara is withdrawal from external to internal. Then come to Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. But as I told you, Dharana means you create a shield around the mind because you have withdrawn the shield from the external world. Now you keep to maintain it within that. And that is shield which Patanjali is talking about. Then pinpointed concentration of the mind on one subject object is Dhyana. Then internal state of the mind consciousness, you became your only mind. Every aspect is gone. You are truly into Vigyan, Pragyan, Akhandata. Mind is there, but there are no fluctuations, absolutely nothing. Tark Vitark, Vichar Vitar, everything is done. You have come to Pragyan, and that is what Patanjali is talking about. Once you learn the master Samyam, only the light of Pragyan would appear. And once the Pragyan comes up, there comes the enlightenment, there comes the empowerment, there comes the wisdom, there comes the impeccable wisdom, and that is what it is all about. And because I am working with this concept very clearly ever since my childhood, born with it, I think I have been able to do wonder after wonder ever since and give the new language of symbolic language, mathematically and geometrically correct, you can see on either side. And that is because of Samyam. Now Samyam also, whole thing becomes Vinayog, your own self. By foundation of Pragyan. Pragyan means again absolute wisdom. And science of yoga is Sahaj, simple and natural. And that meaning is Sahaj, is sadhana, it's the Vinayog. And once that is understood, you are in tune with your own self, which is very simple. And people say spirituality is very difficult. From my experience, easiest of all is simple because you have to do nothing. You have to do nothing, you just got to be yourself, perfect human being. You got to be truthful, you got to be honest, your intention should be good. अगर नीति अच्छी है, नीतियाँ अच्छी होंगी, नतीजे अच्छे होंगे. जब नीति ही अच्छी है, नतीजे अच्छे होंगे तो सो आप कहीं ना कहीं संयम के साथ हैं. That's all it is, nothing more than that. जब all the three aspects अंतरागम inside हो जाते हैं, from external world you have come inside. All the panchakoshas have become inside panchakoshas. You are one with that. Once you come to that stage, only then you start using mind as such to understand different aspects of samadhi. And as we see, right, even sabhij samadhi with seed is an external part in relation to the seedless, which nirbhij samadhi. So you got to tark vitark, vichar vitark, to bij and nirbij samadhi. Then only you have come to the stage. You have eliminated all the fluctuation nature. You come to the aware of the universal consciousness in pure self. And that is what Samyam takes you to. That is three stages put together have to be done so you come to the impeccable wisdom. Now I am going to talk about 10 stages of Samyam which are absolutely essential. As I told you, the first step, Dharana, Dhyan and Samadhi as one component. Then first is Savitark Samparjana. Mean you start thinking about things with the reasoning power. And once that is done, your understanding of cognition and reasoning starts coming up. Once the particular process starts coming up one by one, your concept of reasoning becomes very phenomenal. Tark vitark, alternative, debate is absolutely essential. You take a subject, debate on both the sides, positive and negative, and then come to the stage, this is absolutely essential. That will bring you to nirvikat samparjita. You have come to reasoning without cognition, without any requirement for reasoning anymore. First you need to reason it out, then come to a stage, there is no more reasoning, you have come to the kind of perfection. These are first 2-3 stages. Then you come to the stage of Shunya once again, as I make it, emptiness. That is what zero is. And it's like a choraha, 4 levels you come. I have come to that 10 times in this life itself. But whenever I am in that stage, I have 4 choices open. Can I go back to the old level, or go to the left or right, or you go forward? I always go forward because it's going to be more useful to me as well, more useful to the world. And that is what Tark Vitark, and then you go to the next stage of emptiness, to the next stage, which is Vichardhara. Tark you have done. Now you have found this particular concept is very clear. These are right thoughts. These are right thoughts. You start working, you come to stage, now that I know that is very clear, then you go to stage thoughtless. You don't need to do it anymore, because a part of your living consciousness, your level of thinking goes to much higher level of understanding. Once you go to much higher level of understanding, you have complete wisdom to yourself. That will bring you to another emptiness, and that is called Nirodha or annihilation, and you come to that stage which is beyond Tark Vitark, which are thoughts processes. You come to thoughtless state of the mind. When you come to the thoughtless state of mind, that is what you come to another Sabhija Samadhi. A certain beach starts coming. You start understanding the concept of that particular beach very, very clearly. This is what it means. This is what this means. That's it. Once you come to that stage, as a result, you can use it to know all the 64 different arts, to understand it completely. That is Sabhija Samadhi. But once you know all that, you come to a stage called Nirbhija Samadhi. There is no more further to be learned. Once there is no more further to be learned, you have cognized A to Z of everything. That is only time where you come to Pragyan, or Prajna, or direct connection, or resultant. And that is what I call it, Tret Paravidya. You come to that stage. By that time, you have knowledge come to Divyank completely. Once you come to Divyank, step by step to that, by eliminating all the defects, through discussions, to thinking process, to realization, and that is what Divyank is all about. I am taking Pragyan to Divyank level for the first time with the mystery kind, because I found defects in all the knowledge which we have. Whether it's defective, man-made mathematics was defective, it was not divine. Physics had defects, chemistry had defects, biology had defects, all the 64 had defects, in my opinion, because I eliminated one by one. And by eliminating one by one, I was able to find Divyank, and realization at 22 by 21 was very young. 10 stages of Shiva, Vishnu were very known, but Panch Bhutas of Lord Shiva were realized only in 2015. And that's it. This is what I'm talking about, is Akhand Yoga, all about it. This is what it has helped me to move one by one through Patanjali Yoga Sutra itself. Now, every Patanjali Yoga Sutra, after Samyam, you come to one stage called Patanjali Parinama, the result of integrated yoga. Now, I am talking about integrated yoga. A Patanjali Yoga Sutra has brought me to this level. Now, I can understand what are the results of this Parinama of yoga, which I am talking about, which Patanjali talks about it. And I am restricting myself to only Ashtanga Yoga. I am not going to Kundalini Yoga and Antar Yoga of Akhand Yoga. Those two will be explained later. But restricting only to Patanjali and bringing the beauty of Patanjali in totality is the first requirement for me to understand what are the parinamas, results, rewards of yoga which Patanjali is talking about. Why he survived for 3,000 years. Even today, in my opinion, Patanjali Yoga is much more classified than any other book on yoga I know of. It's highly classified. I used it for my PhD work and results of phenomena. I have changed the entire scientific world with Patanjali Yoga Sutra alone. And that's it. Let's move on to the next stage. As I told you, there are 3 parinamas which stand out, which is there in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. First parinama is Nirodha Parinama. I am not going to read the Sanskrit part, but I'll explain that in English language for the benefit. Nirodha Parinama is that transformation of the mind in which it becomes progressively permeated by that control of Nirodha, or stop the fluctuation, which intervenes momentarily between an impression which is disappearing and the impression which is appearing, is beautiful description of Nirodha Parinama, stopping the fluctuations of the mind. As you can see the picture of alpha spindle down. One side it starts from 0, then slowly increases, then comes down, again increases, comes down. This coherence is what is Nirodha Parinama all about. And how come 3000 years back he had cognized very clearly about Nirodha Parinama at that stage itself. And it's amazing that I'm able to translate that into alpha spindle of today, which we can see with the equipment. And equipment had nothing to do with Patanjali, not with me, not anybody else. But now science and spirituality put together, the beauty which I'm showing, this is what it is all about. Now that is the first parinama. That means you come to emptiness. Shunya on either side is first thing it talks about it. All the fluctuation mind should come to Shunya. That is Nirodha. And that is what Patanjali talks. Chit, Vritti, Nirodh, Parina is yogas. Stop the fluctuation mind. You come to Nirodhic stage is the first thing which he talks about it. That means you should come to empty state of energy. Energy should be very low in coherence one side. That's one part. Next is Samadhi Parinama. Samadhi Parinama is that transformation of the mind in which it becomes progressively permitted, but the gradual setting of the distraction and simultaneously at one point. And this is what you are seeing in this particular, both are identical. That means you had empty on the other side, then increasing it, reducing. But each spindle, one by one, should be identical. That should be the even state Parinama, one and large. And that is so beautifully written in Samadhi Parinama by Maharishi Patanjali itself. That's a brilliant scientific word I can think of as on today. Brilliant to the core, but I am very sorry to say nobody has looked at this book to this detail, and I am glad that I have been given the pleasure to bring Sanskrit translation into scientific world with the evidence which nobody can deny, and that is alpha spindle. Then third is Ekagrata Parinama. That means then again the condition of mind in which the object in the mind which subsides exactly similar to the object which is rising the next moment. That is, there is uniformity, and that is what coherence is. One, there is emptiness. There is a gradual thing, but then each one is identical. The three parinamas, all you can see in alpha spindles by and large. It's amazing to the core, which has transformed my PhD work from a level which is amazing for the entire world to work. Now I have created a data with respect to the kind of research which is required. You are going to see the benefit of that as you move on. So three parinamas of Samadhi, Nirodha, Samadhi and Ekagrata Parinama are amazing scientific descriptions of Patanjali Yogasutras, and three aspects of alpha spindle so beautifully done. Hats up to him, hats up to the work done 3000 years ago. Now come to the revelation of Parinama. Parinama Treya Samyam Antigata Jnanam. By performing Samyam on the three kinds of transforming, Nirodha Parinama, Samadhi Parinama, Ekagrata, knowledge of the past, present and future is given. Now it's talking about Siddhi powers, occult powers. If you want to know your past, you want to know your present, you want to know your future, it can be done only by doing three pranayams. Parinamas should be known very clearly, that Nirodha Parinama, Samadhi Parinama and Ekagrata Parinama will give you the knowledge of past, present, future. And Patanjali is also talking about lot of Siddhi powers which emerge, and I have experienced that. And I know when I ask for Akhandita, it is a power which I want to be in tune with universal consciousness. As a result, a knowledge of A to Z are beginning to the end. Brahmant, Mahabrahmant to Pindant, from Adi Prashakti to Gayatri to Aditi, entire knowledge of the universe can be at your thing, provided you are in tune with universal consciousness. And that's the beauty of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Ashtanga Yoga itself takes you to that level of knowledge. But that is, as far as external knowledge is concerned, is very clear that this is good enough. Now let's go to the next stage. Now I'm giving the result of my own consciousness from this side. Now I'm going to talk about my PhD work step by step, how I have transformed from a common man's thing to this particular level. The first experience which I had was in 1993 when EEG was taken 2 years after my initiation in simplified Kundalini Yoga. I could put 10.5 Hz alpha frequency with closed mind from the posterior part of the brain only, like everyone in the world does it. That EEG of mine and the EEG of all the people was identical, but this was almost at the time when I started my journey into internalization. But 95, I could bring alpha frequency after opening the eyes. That was the first enlightening experience. I am able to do something which no one in the world has done it. That made my job very easy. I had a conventional EEG taken, which qualitatively I could see. Now I can see alpha frequency even after opening the eye. I have shown in my PhD work. Once having done that, that's the time when I redesigned my EEG process. I brought in eyes closed and eyes open, and then brought 3 stages of samyam into that. One without concentration was dharana, with the concentration in Mooladhara chakra was dhyana, and the concentration on top of the head was samadhi. And the kind of changes which I have seen was phenomenal. And another enlightening for my PhD work itself was I could produce triple the power of energy with eyes open compared to other people. Other people could not produce alpha after opening. I could produce alpha predominantly, no beta and energy. And particularly with samadhi, the power of alpha and the total power was phenomenal. I have already shown. You can go back to my PhD research work and see the beauty in detail, step by step. Now that is how it is. But this is particular picture taken when I gave the world DIVYANK. Let's say 2015 to 2018. In this particular thing, you can see with the closed eyes, a predominant coherent alpha rhythm of 8.5 Hz throughout the brain I am able to demonstrate. With closed eyes, 8.5 Hz alpha frequency throughout the brain, which nobody has done till date. But what is interesting, with the open eyes, I am able to produce a predominant coherent alpha with 8 Hz, even slower than 8.5. We literally challenging the world where they say you will get into faster activity. But I want to become even more slow with the open. And why am I more slow? Because with eyes open, I am more focused in my soul. And particularly in samadhi state, it's phenomenal. And both are taken only with samadhi state, not in concentration with dharana and dhyani. This is only samadhi state. In samadhi state, I am able to put 8 Hz frequency, not 8.5 with the eyes closed. Because when eyes are closed, I'm not focused into antaratma or kundalini as much. But when eyes are open, I start from there. From there, I'm seeing the entire world. Eyes are open, everything is there. But my focus in antaratma, nothing is in between. And that is real Patanjali Yoga Sutra, what I call Akhand Yoga. That is Kundalini Yoga and Antar Yoga. And I can tell you, we will talk about it later. But this is a tremendous benefit which I got based on Patanjali Yoga Sutra by and large. Now we are almost come to the end. Let's go to the next last stage. It's the symbol which I am talking about. In this particular chinka, with respect to Patanjali Yoga Sutra and Parinamas, I would say both the snakes on either side are the paravertebral column of the sympathetic system, Ida and Pingala. Both should be under control. They should not play any role at all. You should be in the center where you have chakras, not in the sympathetic system. You should be start from sacral parasympathetic, go to the cranial parasympathetic, go within Sushmana Nadi, go within Vahani Nadi, go with the Surya Nadi, go with the Chandra Nadi, go to Brahma Nadi, and take it to ventricles of the brain and be in tune with universal consciousness. You will be in tune with the entire thing. A to Z of the entire universe is within us. And that's why I say, I have not created it. My parents did not create it. Nature created, designed so beautifully. Great are the greatest mind, greatest everything. Once I am from inside, I am able to comprehend completely. Then use this body as an antenna to be in the universal consciousness and get all the information from Akash Kosh. And I think that's the real beauty of my work, is step by step. From external world, I have come to the internal world. From internal world, I am able to project again. This is again something which I'll tell you. Brainstem and spinal cord have grey matter inside. That is internalization. But once internalization takes place, your soul, the Kundalini, comes to the ventricles of the brain. Then from that is the innermost part. That will open up your brain completely. And as a result, 3 outer layers of neocortex get opened, awakened. And neuroscientists don't even know the functions of the 3 outer layers of neocortex. Once that is awakened from inside, that is Antaryog. After Kundalini Yoga to Antaryog, then you are in tune with Akash Kosh. That means outer layers of neocortex, which are receptors, they become antenna for the universal consciousness. Once you are able to do that, you and universal consciousness is one. And that's the time you realize you are Aham Brahmasmi. I am like a God. But once you understand Aham Brahmasmi, I am like a God, you become God, living God. Then all the knowledge of the world is at your fingertips. And that is what DIVYANK is all about. But you also go to the next stage. Another statement which has been understood. Tat Tvam Asi. And everybody says, I am like God. No. Tat Tvam Asi is a beautiful statement to say, all the things which God has created are identical only. You look for identical thing, and that is Tat Tvam Asi. And that is what DIVYANK is all about. All the perfect objects of the, say, spiral galaxy, Brahmand. Solar system, Brahmand. Human being, Pindant. And I would say everything including B double helix based on DIVYANK is perfect. And I have also shown for the first time the female menstrual cycle based on DIVYANK sequence is a perfect, not the one which is taught throughout the world. As a single-handedly I have been saying, this is what. And that is what Pragyan is, that is what impeccable wisdom is, that is what Patanjali Yogasutras has helped me to come to stage. Now with Kundalini Yoga and Antar Yoga, I am taking to the level which was undone. All the damage is done. We are writing a new scripture for the world from A to Z with impeccable wisdom. That is the contribution of Akhand Vidyashram. That is my contribution scientifically, mathematically, geometrically. We are trying to read new language which is mathematically correct, geometrically perfect, and that's the knowledge which we can translate from one language to other without any deficiency. Today we are not able to do with other languages because there is a lot of ambiguity. But to get over ambiguity, we need to first translate the knowledge into symbolic and mathematically correct, and then translate from that mathematically symbolic symbol itself, which is inanimate, mathematically described. And that is what I am speaking about. With that, I think let's move on to the next stage and say, this is beautiful. So thank you very much. I think it's one of the, I'm really enjoying sharing my experiences step by step out of my own cognized experience, and that's it. Thank you very much.